This audio presentation of The Higher Power You Can Use, the Master Course of Instruction textbook by Murdo MacDonald Bayne is brought to you by audioenlightenment.com. Copyright 2015, all rights reserved. Introduction. I feel it a great honor to be the bearer of this message to the world, but I do not claim any special privilege, nor do I claim any spiritual quality that makes me any different from my fellow man. For many years I have been an earnest worker and a student of the inner teaching, healing the sick and teaching what I knew of the truth all over the world, and I have met with a very large measure of success. For this I alone was not wholly responsible, as I now know, having been spiritually helped and guided throughout all these years of probation. It was not until one night when a mysterious visitor appeared to me that I knew what my real mission was. He spoke these words, "I have been with you a long time, but you knew it not. But now the time has come for me to make yourself known to me. I will guide you to the Himalayas in Tibet, where you shall receive instructions for your real mission. Many are called, but few are chosen. Are you prepared to leave all and follow me? Fear not, for the world will rejoice. The message you will bear will take away the confusion from the minds of the people, and those who will hear you are my people. I will be by your side, and your strength shall not fail. For whom God has chosen, he shall sustain." Then he took his departure as silently as he had come. From that time on I was directed step by step to the great Himalayas in Tibet, and there in the hidden recesses of the majestic snow-clad mountains, where the atmosphere is so clear and the vibrations so pure that heavens open onto the earth, in that glorious state where heaven and earth are as one, I was instructed what to do and where to go. During my sojourn there I witnessed spiritual manifestations so wonderful that words utterly fail to describe them. Later I will present to the world in a book form details of these happenings, what I saw and heard, also my travels and experiences, with pictures of the way to the most inaccessible parts of the great Tibetan Himalayas. I shall also reveal the joys and ecstasy of meeting daily with masters whose love, sympathy, and simplicity is the secret of their mighty power. For love is God, and God is love. For he so loved the world that he sent his only begotten Son, that they who hearken unto him will find eternal immortality. When the soul is ready, the masters appear, and those who are ready will hear and know the master's voice, proclaiming all nations one nation, all people one people, all life one life. One tree with many branches, but the same life in all. One in all and all in one. I myself make no claim. I am just a voice in the wilderness calling to the sons and daughters of God to hearken unto the truth. For this I was told I was born. Love and peace be with you. Murdo MacDonald Bayne. Lesson 1. The Master's Course on the Higher Power You Can Use. This course is written for the express purpose of leading you along the path of the Masters, freeing you from limitation and imitation in the world of form, creed, dogma, ideas, theories, concepts, etc., that limit and confuse the mind, thereby distorting the truth. You cannot discern or understand unless the mind is free and unlimited, for it is the natural intelligence that opens the way to the understanding of life. You cannot perceive the truth because it is beyond your perception. What you perceive is only in your imagination, an idea, a sensation, an image, whereas truth is none of these. But through the super technique, as explained in this course, there comes a supreme understanding. Then there is no more rushing here and there. There is no anxiety in case you cannot find the way. There is no more striving to be something that you imagine you should be to ensure eternal life, and that all goes with it. No more trying to force your mind to comprehend something that it cannot comprehend because it is beyond mind. You cannot search out something that is ever present. That is like trying to find yourself beside yourself. It is like running after your own shadow. The inner teachings of the Master Christ will be revealed. I am the way, the truth, and the light. The power of the truth can only be established when we free our minds from all concepts and preconceived ideas. The truth will then set us free. And although we live in a world of phenomena and shadows, we are not bound by it. I am not of this world, the Master said. Ideas conceived in the divine mind come forth into expression and form may be transformed through a change of consciousness in regard to it. This is the law revealed by the Master. The I Am is the door through which the consciousness, intelligence, and substance of the great I Am, which is God, comes forth into expression, into form through the individual. This I Am, being in consciousness, intelligence, and substance, and has given form through consciousness. Consciousness is the Father, Intelligence is the mother, and the substance is the vehicle of expression. And the divine expression is the child, the three-in-one. Consciousness is the will which makes the mold, and life, intelligence, and substance fills the mold. Consciousness directs. Intelligence fulfills the direction in the substance, and form comes forth. The divine perfect image is expressed without effort. The Master said, "According to your faith, so be it unto you." This faith is in the consciousness, in the perfect divine image. Fully comprehend this, and you will know the Christ power. All things are possible to them that believe. You must grasp this fundamental principle. Then these lessons will give you the understanding and use of the Christ power, or the power of the Masters. You must separate yourself from all your external faculties, from your mind, from your body, because they are but instruments that you use. The consciousness must analyze everything external to itself. When you say "I am," realize that it is the real. The "I am" enables you to move, think, act, and you are using your instrument as a means of expression. The substance of the great I Am is the perfect substance out of which all things are made, brought forth by consciousness and intelligence in the substance. This perfect substance is the foundation of and supports all forms. In the consciousness, the divine idea exists. The intelligence completes the idea in detail, and the idea is expressed in the substance in all planes of manifestation, including the spiritual, mental, astral, and physical planes, each being but a modification of the one above it. Substance, having no power of its own, changes, fulfilling the expression of the intelligence directed by the consciousness. God is all there is: consciousness, intelligence, and substance. God is expressing himself through the particular center of consciousness that you are. Everything is given form by consciousness. Your consciousness is the consciousness of God. It is the realization of this that enables you to say, "I and the Father are one." Perfection is reality. Imperfection is not real. Reality always exists and always has existed. Please recognize this truth. Gaze upon it and bring it forth. As your divine consciousness brings forth form in substance, so is the intelligence within the substance. There is only one God, and God is not divisible. There is one basic substance, and that substance is indivisible. All things are created out of the perfect substance, therefore this substance underlies all things. I want you to grasp this truth. All is spirit. Out of him who is spirit all things have been made. Spirit in its essence is perfect. The substance out of which your bodies and everything has been created is perfect substance, with perfect intelligence. This intelligence acts automatically and has the power of expression. The consciousness is in this great intelligence and is the will which causes form to come forth. Consciousness, intelligence, substance are three-in-one, and out of the three-in-one all things are created. Life is the combined action of consciousness and intelligence and substance, and its motion is love. You may ask, how does all the imperfection come about? Well, this consciousness, this intelligence, this substance divine mind, is that out of which all things have been created. All things are mind. Everything you see, however large or small, has come from the one source. There is no other source it could come from. The basic substance in its essence is perfect, and is the only reality of substance. This is the secret, and the Masters grasp the truth in its entirety. They act from life. Their words are life, because they touch the life that creates everything. Form of itself has no power of its own, neither does it claim any power of its own. In the infinite consciousness of God is held the perfect image. Therefore the perfect image is always in existence. The I Am in you is the point through which you contact this divine consciousness, and this consciousness becomes, as it were, apparently, an individual consciousness to each and every one, but it is not a separate consciousness. When you think separation and have accepted it, then you have separated yourself mentally from the one great infinite consciousness, but it is a false conception. The great Master said, "I and the Father are one." He not only said it, he knew it. It was not a platitude. To him it was an actual reality. When you recognize this mighty truth, the realization of it gives you control and everything obeys you. The elements respond to your call and form according to the image held with this understanding. When this state of consciousness is held, the idea or image held in the consciousness is produced by the intelligence, and the work is done without effort. the intelligence always fulfilling the direction of the consciousness. We make a success of our life when we know this law and apply it with faith. We make a failure of our life when we do not know this law and let in fear and doubt, which cause a vacillating action of the intelligence, the mother. But when in divine meditation, with a faithful consciousness, this mother intelligence does the work perfectly and changes the whole nature automatically. Why is it possible for one person to do what another person cannot do? Because the one realizes and recognizes it possible and the other does not. When you realize that there is only one consciousness, one intelligence, one substance, God infinite, and that you are an expression of God infinite, you can say, I and the Father are one, in body, in mind, and spirit. But when you accept separation, you usurp the authority of the great I Am, God. When you usurp the authority, you begin thinking imperfectly, and by the same I Am within you, you bring forth that which is not perfect. How is it possible to bring forth that which is perfect? Allow God with His perfect intelligence to work through you. The simplicity of it is so great that it overwhelms us. Aspiration is the method you must use to begin with. Then you become filled with divine love, wisdom, and power, which act together in perfect harmony, and growth becomes as natural as that of the flowers. In cases of healing, different people require different methods. One requires mud, one requires water, and another only the spoken word according to their unfoldment. I have healed people without saying a single word to them. I have affirmed all is spirit. God is perfect. Therefore allow God who is perfect to be made manifest now. And the person has become perfectly well. The perfect expression of God within dispersed that which was false. The real always exists. The false is only a concept, an idea, while the truth is none of these. It is, and that which is perfect. Christ knew the secret of healing intensely. Also he knew that if two agree upon the same thing, so it is unto them that believe. That is why he asked, Do you believe? Yes, well, according to your belief, so shall it be unto you. Why? Because the consciousness, intelligence, and substance of God is perfect and is your foundation. When you recognize this truth, you dismiss everything else. All negative thoughts, all inferior and imperfect conditions are lies and have no existence in reality. God is immovable, unlimited, unchangeable. The I Am within you never changes. It is always the same. But the external form changes because it is relative. Yet the substance which is the basis of the form is a perfect substance. Relative things are not realities. Therefore, I want you to recognize that reality exists everywhere, and is the basis and the essence of everything. If the external form seems to you imperfect, the substance and basis of it all is perfect. You have heard of miracles, yet they are nothing more than the perfect action of a perfect law that exists eternally and is omnipresent, present everywhere always. To realize that the perfect is enables it to manifest. Allow the God intelligence to manifest through your mind, through your body, through your affairs. That does not mean that you are not to do anything. It means that you begin to think and act with God until such a time as your thoughts and works become God's, until such a time as you do not utter a word that is not of God. Remain silent under all circumstances unless you can give divine counsel is the ruling of the masters. By your own consciousness, by your spoken word, you have created form. And you speak words so lightly, you allow your imagination to run rampant. You create with your own conscious forms that are imperfect. Realize that there is a perfect consciousness within you and a perfect substance in use. It does not require to be made perfect. The perfect cannot be made more perfect. Then be ye perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. What you gaze upon, you bring forth. When you realize your oneness with the Father, you are one with Him, unlimited and free, and there is no power external to yourself greater than the power within you. Spiritualize your mind and body with this supreme consciousness. Allow it to permeate your mind and body as it was with the Master Jesus. Many people wonder why his physical body disappeared. His body was raised to such a rate of vibration that when the consciousness holding it together left it, the atoms were not attracted by the vibrations of the earth, but were absorbed into a higher state. They did not belong to the earth because he raised them beyond the vibration of the earth. The same law applied to Moses and Elijah. The same law exists today. God the manifester and his manifestation are one, always have been and always will be. It is of this that you must be conscious. If you take a piece of earth substance up into the atmosphere and drop it, it will fall to the ground. It falls to the ground because here you have a small piece of matter that is vibrating at the same rate of vibration as the larger piece of matter which is attracting it. They fly together because of the law of attraction. The inherent attraction is the vibration in the material, and that attraction is in the ether. Vibration is energy, and it is this energy or vibration that attracts. According to the rate of vibration, so is the attraction. When you have raised the vibration of a piece of matter to the vibration of its atomic rate, it would pass into atmosphere because of this law of attraction. The invisible substance is the perfect substance out of which all is created. Christ raised his body to that rate, hence Christ's body is our body, his spirit our spirit, and his life our life, which is all God's, all in all. Christ manifested his God power as we can do if we believe as he did. This is the law. This is how the body of the Master disappeared. And when he met his disciples afterwards, he did not meet them in the physical garment, but in the resurrection body. He passed through the doors and appeared to them. As he raised his physical body to its atomic state, so he could attract by the power of his will atoms of ether, reduce the vibration, and the physical appeared. Matter is ether modified. There is soon coming a period when certain laws will be in operation which will supersede the existing laws. Although these laws have always existed, man has not raised his consciousness sufficiently to contact them. When Christ went up the mount, Moses and Elijah visited him and told him what was forthcoming. Similar things happen today, and during my visit to the Himalayas I spoke to many of the great intelligences because there the opportunities and facilities exist. Even in the West I have had wonderful experience. Since my sojourn with the Masters of the East, I am convinced more than ever of the truth of Christ's teachings, but few can read them with understanding, even those who profess him. There is the invisible influence which you always directing you. You will find that you will get a better understanding by trusting it. The world may be affected by wars, storms, and earthquakes, but that is not to say it will not end in good. Some people say that civilization shall be destroyed. That is not so. A civilization shall arise, and the truth will be made known to mankind. The physical form of many may be destroyed, but not the consciousness, nor the substance, nor the resurrection body, for they will be intact. This is what the Master showed. The you, the real you, is the eternal reality, the manifester in the manifestation. Just as the resurrection body was visible to the disciples, so shall the resurrection body be visible to the forthcoming civilization. And the so-called dead who are living will mingle with the so-called living who are dead. Why are they dead? They are dead to the truth that life exists eternally, that consciousness exists forever. They are dead to themselves, but it is a false concept and has no foundation in truth. I am the father of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I am the father of the living, not the dead. Jesus made this so plain to his disciples, and it is the same today as it was yesterday, and will be the same tomorrow. As the evolutionary process of the great human family progresses, so the various senses that are at present dormant will come to life. When this body is more spiritualized, the I am, which is the consciousness in the substance, will bring them forth. For they are already there. Spirit is all. Then you will see the so-called dead. Some scientists would like you to believe that the universe is running down like a clock. Who wound it up? They have started at the wrong end. Perpetual motion has always existed. God is perpetual motion. Has everything a beginning? Everything relative has a beginning, but the reality never had a beginning. A relative thing has a beginning and will have an ending, but how could God have a beginning? How could the infinite have a beginning? If the infinite had a beginning, there would have to be a greater infinite to have created it, and so back and back ad infinitum. Then God would be relative, and your existence in God would be relative. But your existence in God is not relative, it is eternal. Your existence on this plane is relative. All relative things are changeable phenomena. Divine consciousness is the only eternal reality. It is necessary, then, that we should realize and recognize it in this life. The human brain cannot comprehend the immensity of the infinite and never will, because if the human brain could comprehend the infinite would become human and therefore would be relative. The truth that you can perceive is only in your imagination, an idea, a sensation, whereas truth is none of these things. It is useless trying to force your mind to comprehend something that is beyond it. Life is. It does not have to be. It is. You are it, yet you cannot comprehend it with your mind, but only know that you are. Live in faith, believing, knowing. Let wisdom and love guide you. Listen deeper in your soul and wait, not anxiously but with faith. You have the power of reason, but your reasoning power is unable to grasp the whole truth. Yet the truth does not run contrary to your reason, but goes beyond it. All great men and women recognize this fact. They see things beyond their reason. Wherever you limit truth, you limit yourself. Great men and women see no limit. These things do not go contrary to your reason. Then do not limit them by your reason. Trying to find your real self outside yourself is like trying to catch your own shadow. Be still, know your real self to be yourself, and you will find that self. You cannot define reality. There is nothing in or out of mind to compare it with. It is beyond all things seen or heard. Let your self-consciousness be expansive. Be aware of it as the whole, and the I loses itself. The I no longer arises. Then the true intelligence transforms in nature, and a spiritual world is seen before the eyes. The king and his kingdom become one. Doubt and fear disappear. The nature is transformed without effort. Yet there must be continued effort to be expansive. Freed from limitation and illusion, a constant awareness must be held lest limitation enter in. When this complete living is established, you will move with faith. Love, wisdom, and power are expressed as one and are as natural as the breath of life. You are King Life, free. How glorious is the freedom of life, truth. Most people try to comprehend the truth with a background of ideas caught up from Christianity with its changing interpretation. When one theory is worn out, a new one is created. One time it is hell and brimstone and the devil, and later this is modified and then cast aside altogether, and something else takes its place, and so on. From one thing to another, or the background is Hinduism or Buddhism with their many gods and demigods and incantations, or theosophy where the intellect is filled with so many ideas that the mind becomes confused. In trying to comprehend the truth with this background, the reaction generally creates a conflict in the mind because of preconceived ideas. People try to make truth conform to these ideas, and they judge everything on what they already believe to be true. These beliefs are only ideas, images in the mind, and must remain as such. But truth is none of these. It is beyond mind, greater than all creation, yet you are one with it. The majority pattern their lives after what they have heard, read, or believed and say, well, this is the truth. Others do the same and say, no, this is the truth. Now, where can there be truth when there is a confusion of thought? The whole thing is wrapped up in ideas and theories, and none of them is the truth. Truth is life. Are you trying to find it in some system, philosophy, or creed? If so, your conception of truth is but a continual movement from one illusion to another illusion in the world of form and phenomena. Even a sinner and a saint are but illusions, the one only higher than the other in the world of illusion. Your craving leads you from one illusion to another. You want to be something that will ensure your place in the eternal, so the craving leads you from one teacher to another teacher, or from one system to another system, and what you find is only form and phenomena, or the action of life, not life itself. This goes on, and at each stage a pause is made. There is a feeling of satisfaction. You think you have found the truth, but only for a moment does this state exist. Shortly the hunt begins again with a renewed effort along the path of illusion. Again I say, if you try to find the truth in the world of form and phenomena, you will fail. Know that you are the truth. It is freedom from all illusion you are really seeking. Know the world of illusion for what it is. Do not be deceived by it, thinking it is reality itself. It is but the form expressed in substance. When Jesus was teaching his disciples of the Father, Philip asked, "Master, show us the Father." The Master replied, "Philip, have I been with you so long, while you have not known what I say to you? When you have seen me, you have seen the Father. I and the Father are one," meaning the life and expression and form, not the form itself. The cause being not seen is not recognized, yet it is the reality. On another occasion he said, "What is it that you have come out to see? A man?" Meaning, can you not see behind the form and there find reality? The outer man is nothing. It is the power behind him that is real. I of myself am nothing. It is the Spirit of the Father within me that doeth the work. O my beloved one, know the life to be yourself. And this is the ecstasy of the eternal immortality. This everlasting reality can only be understood in the fullness of the present, not in some distant future which is but a passing fantasy. Reality cannot be imagined or fancied. That which can be explained is not truth. The joy and freedom of truth is spontaneous. It comes naturally, without effort, without introspection. It is the ever-new joy, being perfect joy itself. It is sweet and silent in the completeness of your daily living. Living, acting spontaneously, is as natural as the breath of life. To understand this completeness, there must be non-attachment to ideas, beliefs, the past or future, for when you pattern your life on these, there is fear and conflict, which destroy true understanding, and you are held within the walls of a prison you yourself create. In the world of illusion, which includes creeds, dogmas, etc., you become irresponsible. On the one hand, you give up yourself to authority. You lose your individuality. You allow others to do your thinking for you spiritually. And on the other hand, you become like a wild beast fighting for your welfare and existence. To know reality, you must be entirely free in mind and heart from all authority, limitation, and imitation, from all cravings, both spiritual and material. You must strip yourself naked spiritually, mentally, and materially. Empty your mind and heart. If you look into them, you will find inherited theories of right and wrong, what is spiritual and what is not spiritual. The heart may be so filled with religion that there is no room for love, and the mind so filled with theories that there is no room for truth. Truth is. It does not have to be. What is necessary is an effort to keep the mind and heart free so that truth and love can manifest. They do when we free ourselves from concepts, theories, cravings, imitation, limitation. The truth, life, is free and natural, and manifests itself without our personal effort. Consciousness and intelligence coordinating are one in life, which organizes the substance, and according to the image held in the consciousness, so is the form created. Life itself, being perfect in itself, is expressing itself. When we realize our oneness with the Father consciousness, intelligence and substance, the manifester and the manifestation become one. One is real, while the other is relative and changeable, but every change is dominated by a perfect love. The perfect will be established by its own power when we allow love to dominate every act, word, and thought, with our minds free for the complete expansion of ourselves in God. How inadequate are words in expressing the eternal reality of glorious life. Live it fully and freely. Then you will know it. Lesson 2. Spirit is all, and form is constantly being expressed from spirit. That which is brought forth from spirit is spirit. Man does not walk by sight, but walks by faith. If you do not believe you can walk, you will not walk. The realization of this should bring home to you the truth of unless you believe, that one great fundamental principle. The conscious reality in the infinite mind of God is man. You, the Son of Man, the Son of God. God is the consciousness within you. God is the one consciousness permeating the whole of humanity, and you are the eternal concept held in the infinite mind. It is a realization of this consciousness in each individual that must be established. As the consciousness in each individual being is a concept in the infinite mind, and is held in that mind, it is therefore the perfect idea. We have been perfectly conceived and are always held in the perfect mind of God as perfect beings. When certain people pass beyond the physical plane and enter into the next plane of consciousness, they may still suffer from the conditions under which they labored while in the physical body. But that is not a reality. It is only a concept that is held in the mind. When the healing power of the truth of their true existence becomes known, the false concept disappears, and the resurrection body which took on the pattern they held in their mind now takes on its perfect form. The idea of age belongs to the physical plane. But when the being gets an understanding of eternal youth and the consciousness of God within, then the resurrection body returns to a perfectly formed, youthful body grown to maturity. Even the loss of a limb or other members have no permanent effect on the resurrection body. We are born again when we realize and recognize that we are one with the Father, and He has already conceived us. We must not bring forth untrue expression. This is what the majority of people are doing every day by their thoughts, words, and actions. Even the word as in kind is an untrue expression. Do you know what a word really means? Do you know that sound has color and form, that every form has a color and sound, that every audible sound has an invisible color, every visible color an inaudible sound? Even our thoughts have form, color, and sound. You have formed the outer expression, but the inner also exists. Realize what your thoughts, words, and actions mean. When you understand the power of expression and know the truth, your knowledge adds power to your word and thought. The I Am creates in the invisible world by the voice and by the thought. Even in the silence we create sound, form, and color. When we bring forth untrue expressions, the being of the form is perfect. God, consciousness, intelligence, and substance. It is not the being that you have to change, but the form that the being has assumed. For consciousness creates form, and you have assumed a particular form which is untrue. Christ revealed this law so many times in his ministry of healing and teaching by removing false beliefs held in the conscience of man. Still mind, be still, let God within you speak. I am that I am. Still the mind and allow the perfect concept to be brought forth by God within. Still the personal mind. I am God. Be still, I am God within. You then blend the greater with the smaller, and the outer becomes inner, and the inner becomes outer, both blended together. God is all there is, visible and invisible, and we are one with Him. It is our belief in separation from Him that causes sin, poverty, sickness, and death. Realize that heaven is a perfect state of consciousness, and that hell is the reverse. Be ye perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. Therefore hell does not exist in reality. It only exists as a false concept in the mind of man, and you have it here if you accept it. God created all, filling the world with light. Let there be light is the spoken word of life. Because divine consciousness exists in life and can express itself in any degree. You can never comprehend your own consciousness because as soon as you try to grasp it, it recedes further away from you, and what you are seeing is something external to yourself, and so it is to eternity. So it is with the highest, even the greatest archangels and artificers in the universe. God controls them through consciousness. Their consciousness is the molding force to things external to themselves. Yet while endeavoring to fathom their consciousness, it further recedes, and so it is with you. But by constant contemplation and aspiration you find peace, bliss, and ever-new joy in that consciousness. When you completely realize as consciousness you are free, no longer controlled by external relative things or affected by them. This is the realization of the true ecstasy of life. Some have said God created His universe so that He could learn more and gain more power. How can the infinite learn more when He is omniscient? He does not need any more power because He is omnipotent. His intelligence is the intelligence in all things. The why of God we cannot question. That is beyond our comprehension. But the how of God we can grasp by understanding. The universe is unbounded. Universes within an unbounded universe. There is no space or time. Time, 1,000,000 years is but the twinkling of an eye. How can there be time in eternity? We see the light of a star, we measure the distance, we find that the star is 100 million light years distant from the earth. What does this mean? It means this, that the light you see, traveling at the rate of 186,000 miles per second, left that star 100 million years ago, and yet it is the twinkling of an eye. But that light could not reach us unless there was something to convey it. Sound and light are conveyed in a similar manner. You could not hear a sound unless there were something to convey it. What is it that conveys this light and sound? It is ether. Ether fills all space. Therefore it is ether that conveys light. The earth is modified ether. Ether is the basis of all matter and the substance from which all forms are built. So in this apparent space distance, 100 million light years, we have the same substance that conveys light, and is the basis of all matter as we know it. And this is nothing more than modified ether as proved by modern science. What we see, hear, and feel is but action and reaction in the world of expression. We find ourselves reacting to the action of life, yet this is not life itself. Therefore, in reality, there is no space or separation. If there were space between us and that star, and in that space no ether, nothing, then the light would not reach us. Realize that nothing exists nowhere, and everything exists everywhere. Therefore, nothing does not exist in reality. It is only a mental concept. I want you to realize what a mental concept really means. It is an idea or image which you have produced in your mind. It may be true, and yet it may not be true. When we begin to analyze our concepts, we find that many have crystallized and set because we believe them to be true. And then we find ourselves supporting our ideas and concepts by argument, sometimes of a violent nature. The concept or idea we are supporting may have no foundation in truth itself, but when fresh knowledge is brought to bear upon it, it may change. But thousands have lost their lives, many murdered or slain in cold blood, because of crystallized concept held immovable in the minds of many people. The secret of growth and understanding is to have a flexible mind, so that we can receive new knowledge and discard old, worn-out concepts that are hindering the progress of humanity. In our present plane of consciousness, we react to our immediate surroundings through our physical senses. I will endeavor to show you the different planes, the smallness of the earth plane on which we are functioning, and the immensity of the outer planes. I hope the following diagram will give you meaning I wish to convey. The greater planes interpenetrate the smaller and support them while they extend beyond them. Sun that shines on the earth plane and earth plane which we are conscious of. The higher planes interpenetrate the lower, yet extend further beyond, so you can see the plane known as earth plane is the smallest and vibrates at the lowest rate, although made out of the same substance. You have within you the elements of all planes, and as each state of consciousness is entered, you get a greater understanding of the universe. It is possible to go even beyond this planet as our consciousness expands. Consciousness always recedes, yet we become personally conscious of more of the wonderful universe of God, which becomes external to our consciousness as we progress. This will explain how even the greatest find that consciousness always recedes while they gain more and more love, wisdom, and power through understanding. Again I say, blessed is he who hath neither seen nor heard, yet knoweth himself to be the truth. We migrate from the earth plane to the greater earth or ethereal plane, from the lower to the higher. These are perhaps all invisible to you at present. The sun that you see is that portion of it that vibrates to the earth plane. You are conscious on this plane. The other planes are not visible to you yet. The light that exists upon this earth does not exist upon the higher planes. There is a greater sun, a much more powerful sun with a greater radiance, which extends beyond our sun. It tells you in the Bible that the sun does not shine by day, nor the moon by night, but a sun that always shines. These vibrations are too high for you to see on the physical plane. Light vibrations of the physical plane are from 450 trillion to 750 trillion vibrations per second, or 34 to 64 waves to the inch. Beyond these, there exist vibrations in eternity which are invisible to us. I want you to keep in mind the perfect substance out of which all things have been created, and which exists everywhere. For in its physical consciousness is the smallest part of all. The material plane is the minutest plane. Yet all other planes interpenetrate it and extend beyond it. If I gather around me some primitive savages and endeavor to explain to them about wireless and telegraphy, they would not understand me, because they have no knowledge of these modern conveniences. If I endeavor to explain existence on the other planes of consciousness to those who do not understand, a similar state would exist. If you could visit those planes consciously, you would comprehend the truth, that there is only one substance, and in these planes similar conditions exist, yet greater, becoming more perfect as your consciousness unfolds. No matter what substance you see or feel, it has a perfect basis, and out of this one substance all has been made. As your consciousness expands to the higher planes, you know more, you understand more. You see this particular plane of material substance, which is the grossest and lowest manifestation of the consciousness, as a shadow. You can penetrate it. It is like a cloud of mist. It is no longer real to you now. Your consciousness penetrates all the planes, but you are unaware of it. Yet it is possible to become conscious of it. This is the progress of mankind. This is the difference between real knowing and intellectual knowing. Let the divine impersonal consciousness permeate your personal consciousness and limitations disappear. Love and peace be with you. Lesson 3. Now we come to the particular planes of consciousness. We see how the consciousness recedes, and at the same time it recedes and expands, yet it is the same always. What we are aware of is the action and reaction of life in all its expressions. This must be kept in mind when studying this lesson. Where does the consciousness come from? Your consciousness comes from God. Life organizes the substance from which all things are created, and God's consciousness is the ruling factor, the will which creates the mold in which all forms are held. Therefore, you are held in His mind, and His consciousness is in you. You are held in a divine mind, the perfect substance and intelligence, in which is the highest of all planes of consciousness. Although you now are personally functioning in this particular plane of consciousness, the earth plane or material plane, everything you see, hear, and feel are just vibrations corresponding to this plane. Beyond that, you do not perceive because your senses are not attuned to the higher rates of vibration. Therefore, the light that you see is the lesser light which vibrates from 450 trillion to 750 trillion vibrations per second. The sounds you hear vibrate from 30,000 to 32,000 vibrations per second. Consequently, your present conscious reactions are very limited. Yet every reaction makes a definite impression on your mind, which interpenetrates all the planes of manifestation. All your experiences are registered in your mind. Your brain is just the instrument. Your mind interpenetrates your brain. You have within all the different planes of consciousness, although you are not aware of them. Your mind penetrates them all and records all the reactions. Yet your consciousness goes beyond all creation into the realm of truth. The first and second planes are known as the psychic planes or astral world. You will not stay long in these planes because they are nearest the earth and belong to those people who are known as earthy people, who live materialistic lives and are weighed down by these vibrations. They have no knowledge of the truth, and until they do, their consciousness does not expand. Number 1 plane is the underworld of the psychic plane. Those who sojourn here are those from the underworld of the earth plane. How do they overcome these conditions? The only way is by the purifying fire. What is the purifying fire? It is remorse, burning remorse that exists in the mind of the individual with the desire to do better. Then the consciousness is able to expand to number 2 plane. They are now conscious of greater reactions. They are not dead as though they were, for they are consciously reacting to something, as you do now, a knowing of being alive. But this is not life. These are only reactions to certain stimuli. The expected oblivion has not yet arrived and never will, for the consciousness is in life and always recedes. Some are conscious that a change has taken place, some think they are dreaming, and others act as if they still existed on the earth plane. They are still trapped because they do not know nor understand. Their consciousness does not expand, and so they are held in the prison they have already created for themselves. The longer the time wasted upon the earth in materialistic ideas of a low nature, the longer the time they must spend on those unpleasant planes. This gives them time for reflection. There is weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth. It is a matter of development, a matter of expansion of consciousness. And it is this I want you to recognize now. You must grasp the truth. Otherwise, your consciousness cannot expand beyond limitation, imitation, creeds, dogmas, even philosophies. The truth shall set you free. Living every moment of life fully, spontaneously, that is the freedom of truth. In number 2 plane, we find people leading a similar life to that they led on earth. In this plane, all the different dogmas and creeds exist. They still find separation because their consciousness has not yet expanded to the fatherhood of God and the brotherhood of man. You will pass through these 2 planes because you have grasped what truth is and lived it. This day you shall be with me in paradise. We find some of the bishops, parsons, priests, etc. on the second plane. They think they have found their heaven because dogma and creed, which are separation, are the height of their ambition. Consequently, they are narrow and have no expansion of consciousness. But this is not the case with all. Many are truly great souls. Although they keep within the bounds of the church, their knowledge goes beyond it. Yet still they are bound. Even if the chain is golden, it binds just the same. Those living in the planes beyond, planes of consciousness, not places, wear clothes and do things similar to yourselves. The clothes you wear are but a modified form of the one substance. All forms are brought forth by consciousness, and therefore consciousness creates form on all planes, out of the one substance. Teachers come from the higher planes to the lower planes to teach. The desire to advance, to expand their consciousness, is created in the minds of those on lower planes, so that they are gradually lifted into a higher realm of consciousness and gain a greater number of reactions. Their consciousness becomes more expansive, so they reach the first mental plane, or plane number 3. The first mental plane of consciousness is known as paradise. The 2 thieves on the cross were of different types. One was a thief because he stole a loaf of bread to feed his children, and the other a thief, robber, murderer, who would kill for the sake of what he could get. You are not known by your outer garment, but by your inner garments. Vibrations are emanating from you all the time. A beautiful rose color, tinged in blue and gold, was seen emanating from one man, and from the other man, murky, dark red with dark green and black circles. One rose to paradise because he vibrated the color of paradise, while the other would remain in Hades until such a time as he purified himself. Therefore the Master knew when he said, "You will be in paradise with me this very day." There are many today who have suffered for breaking the laws made by man and his organization to maintain their selfish interest intact, and yet they are glorified in the sight of God. It is in this plane of consciousness where you glimpse that one is all and all is one. There are no denomination, creeds, nor dogmas there. It is the beginning of the understanding of the one fatherhood and the one brotherhood. You find all the different nationalities living as brothers, and colors no bar. They know and understand that there is but one life, one God, one Father, and all are his children. It is a matter of consciousness that counts now, not a matter of skin or clothes or social standing. All this must be left behind. You must cast these things aside as you would a worn-out suit of clothes. It is expansion of consciousness that is now desired. A larger number of conscious reactions are obtained as the expansion of consciousness becomes greater. You now begin to learn to use your true God power. There are schools and colleges in these higher planes of consciousness greater than our schools and colleges. You wonder at this. Have you not the same substance to use as they have? Just the same substance, only different in degree. Whatever comes from spirit is spirit. Whether in a modified form or of a higher vibration, the only difference is in the vibration. This earth plane would be the most wonderful place to live if all truly accepted the one basic reality of the fatherhood of God and the brotherhood of man, and understood that there is no separation, that one cannot live unto oneself, and that each and every one is responsible to the other. And those who have passed beyond this plane of consciousness could mingle with you, and you could see them and talk to them. Then you would realize that death has no sting, but is the entrance to a greater life. This would be heaven upon earth, and it will eventually be. It is the ideal state for man on this plane. The psychic world would disappear, and our migration would be to the first mental plane. How is it possible to bring this about? Our consciousness must be raised so that the senses which have at present shall be superseded by our higher senses. These we have already, but not realizing nor recognizing them, we do not use them. The laws of life which exist to us at present will be superseded by similar yet higher laws. In the fourth plane you begin to realize and recognize more of the truth. You begin to use the power of God within you, and you become a joyful worker in God's universe, knowing that separation is not a reality, but only a mental concept in man's mind, and has no foundation in truth. Truth is perfection, because perfection is the foundation of God's universe, and is the natural state of mankind. The fifth plane is a further extension into a greater state of consciousness. All the reactions you had in the previous planes are still existent in your mind, because your mind interpenetrates all these planes. You are still experiencing through your senses similar senses to the old, but greatly superseding them. The expansion of your consciousness is now greater, and your emotions become less modified, greater. You do not become emotional in the physical sense, but your soul rejoices as the glorious of God is revealed to you. God has glorified you by his consciousness, his knowledge, his wisdom and love, and this is your emotion, the wonder and the grandeur of expansion in him. It is a similar universe, but magnificently greater and more perfect. Most people have no comprehension of this beautiful and most glorious experience. Could I describe them to you? No, they are indescribable. If the streets were paved with gold, and all the buildings were jeweled, and every window shone like a star, and every person an angel, yes, it is even more glorious than that. The temples on the fifth plane are temples of meditation, and as you meditate there appears a great glory from a higher state of consciousness. A light surrounds you, and in that light a higher form of consciousness of peace, harmony, love appears, and you are able to get expression through it. You are seeing an expansion of yourself through a greater and lovelier one. You now seem to think and act as one. After your meditation is over, the higher one disappears, but has left you with a better understanding of the higher consciousness, and your one endeavor is to reach it and tell the glory to others, and this is the glory of God that is within you. As you progress further into the higher state, your consciousness now in the sixth plane, you are able to understand more of God, more of His glory, more of His universe. Your consciousness becomes more expansive. Most glorious of all temples are here, and you have the opportunity of further meditation and further experience. I see, the soul says. I see and reaches the glory of the consciousness of the Christ, which permeates the whole of humanity, because Christ is God's and God's is Christ's. You are joint heirs in God's perfect universe. God the manifester and His manifestation are one, yet God is greater than His manifestation. The one is eternal, while the other is transient. The outer changes, while the inner remains the same always, and it is the same on all planes. You are still you. These outer garments and the body of flesh pass away. They are only a means to an end, instruments through which we express ourselves. The consciousness of God is being expressed from within, and form is transformed through consciousness. In a previous lesson you were told that the physical body of the Master was dispersed into the ether. Why did it disperse? Because the atomic weight of the body was raised above the rate of the earth's vibration, and in the darkness of the tomb the dematerialization of the body took place, but the resurrection body still remained intact. The physical body dispersed into the ether, into the body of all bodies, the great body. So shall the resurrection body also disperse into the more purified plane of substance. And just as the resurrection body disperses into its plane of substance, so will your mind, in which you hold all your experiences, dissolve into its plane of substance, for you no longer need them. And then you will know all, because you will become one with the divine, not separate, but the same consciousness of the same love, wisdom, and power. You will be able to say, I see, in reality, from perfection you have come, to perfection you shall return. Peace be with you. Lesson 4. For an understanding of the control of form and phenomena through action and reaction, I must now explain to you about concentration and breathing. Perfect concentration and attention gives you control of all action and reaction, and one way of obtaining this is by breathing through certain centers in your spine, which should be developed in the proper order. These centers represent the various planets, or rather the various vibrations that emanate from the planets. To be perfectly developed, harmony must be established, and no one center should be developed more than the other. Every planetary vibration is represented in your being, and has a definite expression through you. Every planetary vibration is harmonious. It is only when you allow inharmony to exist that you deflect the harmonious vibration. Out of the Logos, the complete sun forming the 7 sun planes, comes forth all the elements and vibrations expressed through the different planets, and you are affected by them through the centers in your spine. The different vibrations act on the interpenetrating bodies, where they have their root vibration, and permeate each of these bodies which interpenetrate and support the physical one. The divine consciousness is the controlling power, and harmonizes and controls all the vibrations through the Mother, the divine intelligence. The most important center is situated in the dome of the head. The next in importance is situated in the forehead, the next in the back of the head, and so on down the spine. These centers must be carefully developed in rotation, commencing at the bottom of the spine and working upwards to the top of the head. Each center represents a different vibration, and each has its own color as represented in the spectrum, commencing with red at the bottom of the spine and ending with white at the top of the head, where all the colors merge into one. The 7 colors in rotation are red, orange, yellow, green, blue, mauve, white. They represent the 7 centers, representing the 7 bodies, which represent the 7 planes of consciousness. Even the highest plane of substance you have within you, although at present you are not aware of it. Through these centers you have an affinity to every part of the universe, including the supreme consciousness of God, Om, through Christ the Lord within. Ether, air, fire, water, and earth make up the 5 elements, and the Father and Mother, which are the positive and negative interpenetrating them all, make up the 7 principal underlying all matter. In each planet, the vibration of one of the elements predominates, and the individual is affected according to the position the planets are in. These vibrations merge, pass, and oppose each other as the planets move around the sun, and as the Earth comes in contact with the different combinations, so are we affected according to the predominating element in us. But there need not be any inharmonious conditions. It is when we are out of harmony that we fail to control these vibrations. They must be harmonized and balanced within us by our own spiritual power. Thus we control the forces of the universe within our own body. Don't you see that harmonizing these vibrations within yourself gives you control of the elements? All vibrations are held in the one spirit substance. All vibrations have colors, and just as elements can be held in one solution, so all colors are held in the one color, white. In the atmosphere, all colors exist. Things vibrating at different rates reflect their corresponding colors. One of the elements predominates in each of the different planets and reflects its color through it, and each center in the spine attracts the element corresponding to it in vibration and color. In commencing the development of these centers, you must start with the lowest at the bottom of the spine, number 1, red. The next is number 2, orange, in the small of the back, opposite the navel. Number 3, yellow, in the solar plexus, where there are 2 masses of nerve plexi in each side of the spine, is situated about the middle of the back. The next center, number 4, green, is between the shoulders, in line with the heart, and the next, number 5, blue, is behind the throat, the base of the skull. Number 6, mauve, is in the forehead between the eyes, and number 7, white, is at the dome of the head, where all must be raised and controlled by the consciousness. This center links with the universal consciousness above the dome of the head. It is most necessary to develop the centers in this order, for when once you commence to raise the vibration of each center, you must send it up the spine to the next center. These exercises also develop your power of concentration. The best time to develop these centers is at sunrise, sunset, midday, and midnight. At sunrise, commence with the left nostril. At sunset, commence with the right nostril. Midday and midnight, either nostril. As the sun rises, it spreads the positive rays over the earth. This is the positive period of the day, and it is neutralized by noon. By breathing first through the left nostril, any inharmonious positive vibrations are eliminated, because if any positive electronic disturbances is set up by the positive rays of the sun, it is neutralized by the negative, the Ida, in the left nostril. At sunset, when the negative rays represented by the moon are spread over the earth, any disturbances in the negative electronic vibration is neutralized by the positive, the Pingala, in the right nostril. The negative rays are neutralized by midnight, and at sunrise the positive rays are completely in action again. These exercises must be preceded by breath that clean the nervous system, and before commencing you should communicate with me if you have not been instructed in the classes. The cleansing breath is done by inhaling and exhaling alternately through each nostril very slowly, with little or no pause between each breath. The developing breathing exercises are done as follows. Breathe in through the left nostril, counting 4 heartbeats, and at the same time follow down the left side of the spine to the lowest center. Concentrate on this center while holding the breath, counting 16 heartbeats. Then exhale through the right nostril, counting 8, concentrating on the center. Inhale through the right nostril, counting 4, the same time following down the right side of the spine. Concentrate again on the same center, holding the breath for 16 heartbeats. Now the positive and negative forces are balanced in this center. Exhale through the left nostril, counting 8, concentrating on sending this balanced force up the center of the spine to the next center. This is called a complete breath. This method enables the balanced force to proceed upwards. Continue as before with the left nostril, taking the complete breath through each center, moving upwards till the balanced force reaches the seventh center in the dome of the head. Now inhale through the left nostril for 4 heartbeats, carrying the breath down the left side of the spine to the lowest center. While holding the breath for 16 heartbeats, raise this force up the spine from center to center, counting 1 at the lowest center, raising it to the second center on 2, the third center on 3, and so on. At 7, the force reaches the dome of the head. Hold it there till you have counted 16. Exhale through the right nostril for 8 heartbeats, concentrating on the center. Do a similar breath, inhaling through the right nostril and moving upwards from center to center as before, concentrating on the dome of the head again until the 16 heartbeats are complete. Now all the forces are neutralized and balanced and are under the control and command of your will. You now exhale through the left nostril, counting 8 at the same time, opening up the 1,000-petal lotus in the dome of the head to meet the Christ principle or divine intelligence, which is situated in the center above your head. Breathe naturally now and inhale, counting 7, concentrating on absorbing the Christ power or mother principle through the 1,000-petal lotus. Holding the breath for 7 heartbeats, you should be fully conscious of the divine life pouring into you, realizing and recognizing your oneness with it, Father, Mother, Child. Then exhale, counting 7, and feel the Mother or Christ principle charging your whole being. Do this breath 3 times, when you will be filled with tremendous power. The spine must be held erect while doing this exercise. A special posture is necessary, and those desiring to develop themselves must first learn to control their thoughts. Sit quietly in a straight-back chair and watch your thoughts carefully. Check all negative or destructive thoughts. Concentrate on Om. In this state, with your buttocks firm and your spine straight, you may commence. But do not do more than 1 complete set of breath to begin with. Later you may do 2 or more. When you can control these forces, you can control the elements as well. You have the power within you to accomplish what you will. These balanced forces pass up the center of the spine through what is called the Shushuma, which terminates in the dome of the head, where all power is concentrated under the conscious will. This center in the dome of the head is known as the 1,000-petal lotus, which opens to the rays of the infinite intelligence. Behind the right nostril is the Pingala, which picks up the positive electronic force and carries it down the right side of the spine. Behind the left nostril is the Ida, which carries the negative electronic force down the left side of the spine. These forces are balanced in the particular center being developed and proceed up the Sushumna. These nerves are not visible, nor are they known to the anatomist, yet without them you could not live in the body. It is important that you should never allow this balanced force to go downward, but always raise it upward. Some people unknowingly develop the Kundalini, and not knowing how to control the released energy, find themselves in difficulties. Tremendous energies are released through these centers, and they must be raised up and spiritualized. Your power of concentration now becomes a power indeed, with all this energy under your will. This is the great secret of the Masters. If you wish, you may commence using this power constructively in your work, etc. I use it mostly in teaching and healing and dispersing inharmonious conditions. You have no idea of the power that is within you until you unfold it. This is the power the Masters use. These mysteries were guarded secrets and were only revealed to a few. If you practice every morning at sunrise and every evening at sunset, I will guarantee that in 1 year, provided you work properly and have the right thoughts in your mind, you will be able to do many things that at present you could not believe possible. By this method you may be able to visit the higher planes. It is the secret of gaining knowledge while still living in the physical body. This instruction is generally given under the personal supervision of a master, being a quicker way to get results. By deep spiritual contemplation, opening up to the infinite intelligence, the Mother or Christ consciousness above the head, the same results can be obtained, and it is sometimes much the better way for the majority of the people. Meditation and divine reasoning fortify faith, which is the key to all things. Supreme understanding of the truth comes when we absolutely realize and recognize our oneness with the Father. Then the mother does the work unhindered, and the nature is transformed without effort. Yet an effort to sustain this state is necessary in the world of form and limitation. I want to impress upon you to be guarded against giving this knowledge out indiscriminately, as it could be the means of doing much harm by destructive action. The same power can be used for evil ends. When working without a master, you must remember never to hold an evil nor a depressed thought, as you are liable to set these vibrations in motion and injure yourself and others. You must hold peace, harmony, and love in your mind. It is spiritual development that you must seek, not control of the forces. Otherwise, you'll be chained to them, and release becomes more difficult. The path of the great masters is detachment from all phenomena and desire. Only by so doing can absolute control of all phenomena and desire be obtained. This is hard for those in the West to do, because their development is through expression. Nevertheless, we must detach ourselves from the external world and see it for what it is, not a reality in itself, nor having any power of its own. See it as a means to an end, to be controlled and used as a good sculptor would use his tools to fashion his work to completeness. The tool has no real value except in the hands of the experienced craftsman. These 2 prayers you should repeat earnestly, the first one before you commence each practice, and the second one after you have completed it. It takes only a few minutes, but these few minutes make all the difference between success and failure. Loving Father, this is thy holy temple. Make it a perfect dwelling place from which radiates thy love, wisdom, and power to all thy children. Glorify me with thy great healing power, thy inspired wisdom and divine love, that I may glorify thee. Open my eyes and my ears, that I may see and hear, and my mind that I may receive, so that I may become a better and more perfect instrument for thy great and glorious work. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. After you have finished, you will say this: Thou great, loving essence of all goodness, whose child I am, strengthen me in knowledge and show me more clearly the way. I love thee for thy tenderness to me. I trust thee utterly and feel thee near me always. I am safe in thy hands and know thou shalt guide me aright. Then picture the Christ just above your head and endeavor to draw the Christ into you to purify your whole being. Do not say these prayers parrot fashion. Make every word live in you. You will then learn what your words really do. You must learn not to express a word lightly, because whenever you express a word, you express a form. You must not misuse your power, for the reaction will be greater than before you gain this power and understanding. What you hold fast in this plane is also held in the plane above. If you progress diligently, it will not be long before real expansion of consciousness begins. It will no longer be an intellectual understanding, but a knowing in reality. Remember, it is spiritual development and release from the world of phenomena that you are seeking, not the control of the forces. This control comes as a natural sequence when you find your true consciousness. When you actually know where your consciousness is, all is possible to you. It is not an intellectual knowing, but a knowing in reality, where all the phenomenal world is objectified to you, even the spiritual world of phenomena. But all this is only a means to an end, not the end itself. To know that you are now God made manifest, to believe with a faith that cannot be moved by doubt, anxiety, or circumstance, and to act in accordance with your belief is to live abundantly, because faith without works is dead, and work without faith has no life. When this faith is firmly established deep in your soul, then the light that lighteth the soul, yea, even the world, will shine in you. A peace shall come, a knowing that all is well. God is omnipotence, omniscience, omnipresence, and love is the only emotion. God is love, and moves by love alone. I and the Father are one, the Master said. You also must proclaim it. Peace be with you. Lesson 5. The universe moves rhythmically under the direction of the infinite intelligence. We see the law in action, and when we act with the law, we become the law and are not affected by it. I and the Father are one. The elements respond, and the word becomes form. The following diagram shows the elements and what they represent. The 5 elements: Akashla, ether. The color white and violet represents space, and represented by hearing. Vayu, air, color blue and green, represents locomotion, represented by touch. Tajas, fire. Color, red and orange, represents expansion, represented by sight. Apis, water. Color, white and green, represents contraction, represented by taste. Pravritti, earth. Yellow, represents cohesion, represented by smell. The blue sky, you will note, is the color of the element vayu, air, and it is the color of this element that you see. All elements exist in everything, but in every different thing a different element predominates, and the various combination produce the many shades and colors in the different substance. These symbols represent certain qualities and quantities. Einstein, with his mathematical universe, is only repeating in a different way what the ancients knew and understood through their symbol and numbers. You can now understand how everything you see and touch is temporary, disappears, and changes into something else. Not only do these elements exist in the sun, but also in the various planets given birth by the sun. Everything has a positive and a negative aspect. No matter how small the division of substance, you cannot separate the positive and the negative. The atom and the electron have a positive and negative aspect, and their interaction gives motion and manifestation. The positive and the negative represent the Father, Mother, God in all things, and with them all things are created. Ether is the bowl in which the elements mingle together to form their different combinations. Let us now look at the planets from the point of view of vibration. Take Mars, for instance. Mars has all the elements, but the element of expansion, tajas, or fire, predominates. Mars sets up this vibration among the other elements when it is in a certain position at a certain time. It is this vibration of expansion in the etheric structure of matter that causes earthquakes and the different expansion troubles. These vibrations expand the ether, and when the element tajas, expansion, Mars, is in conjunction, opposes or squares the element of Prithvi, cohesion, Saturn, it is easily understood what happens. Vayu, air, locomotion, is represented by Mercury, whose symbol is wings, the most ancient symbol of motion. It is our fastest moving planet, being nearest the sun. Tajas and Vayu in conjunction, squaring or opposing, cause lightning, storms, etc., expansion in the air. Elements forming a sextile, semi-square, and trine also have their effect in different ways. It is easy to understand the cause and effects when we understand the elements. The moon controls water and the tides. In it predominates that particular element which affects our earth, and in fact every human being, enormously the elements of Apis, water, contraction. Neptune also possesses this element, but its nature is more ethereal and dominates the invisible aspect. The 5 elements make up every organ and part of your body. They are held to their particular task by the Father-Mother principle, which unites them in their action and reaction. This is automatic in nature, but can be deflected by inharmonious vibrations set up by ourselves. The foregoing symbol below shows all the elements in one. The dotted circle represents the ether, the bowl in which they are all mixed. The circle represents the motion in the ether, air. The triangles, expansion, fire. The half-moon, contraction, water. And the diamond, cohesion, earth. The cross represents the positive and negative in and through all of them. Ancient lore, 25,000 years ago in the ancient Gobi Desert, a great civilization existed. They were so very advanced in their knowledge that they were able to communicate with each other on the very highest planes of consciousness. They had no churches, but they had temples. These temples were not places of worship, but temples of wisdom, where counsel were taken and where communication with the highest intelligence were obtained. Everyone worked in perfect harmony because the truth was known to them, and all contributed to the whole. There was no poverty or unhappiness. Everything was as perfect so far as we can imagine could be upon the material plane. After a time, dissension set in, and certain groups were formed. Thus began separation and inharmony. This separation was the beginning of the downfall of that civilization, and gradually, as they separated into groups, kings and armies flourished, until discord extended right through the whole people. It is said that they were in advance of our civilization in knowledge by at least 200 years. They had methods of driving machinery and methods of lighting that are not yet known to us today. They also had means of locomotion far in advance of our methods. They were able to use the natural forces, but as separation set in, this information and knowledge faded away. The central council dispersed, and communication with the higher planes was then impossible. This was the downfall of that civilization. The masters of the East still hold many of their secrets. If it were not for selfishness, think of what would be ours today. Yet separation at least was enabled us to understand imperfection, has enabled us to understand the falseness of separation and what it brings in its train: wars, pestilent disease. It brings all the inharmonious conditions that exist among mankind today. The elements are harmonious, but we can destroy this harmony by our inharmonious conditions, thoughts, and emotions. We create a distortion in the elements and upset the perfect balance. Thus civilization brings upon itself troubles and difficulties. God has never brought destruction upon anyone. It is our work to harmonize the elements by keeping harmony within ourselves. We are becoming tired of separation, of those conditions we have created by our own inharmonious vibrations. Deep down we are beginning to feel the pinch. They say that certain dictators are now under the vibration of Mars, under the vibration of expansion, and are dominated by the element Tajas, being born when these vibrations were dominant. Although they all have the other elements within them, the element of fire expansion is predominant, and immediately Mars comes into a certain position, it sets in operation these particular vibrations. Dictators could be really great men if they would but harness these vibrations and direct them into their proper constructive channels. How can one control the elements? I have already given you the secret. By harmonizing the various elements in your own being through the form of breathing I have explained in the previous lesson, or by keeping your mind and body in perfect harmony, by not allowing even an inharmonious thought to exist, by aspiring to the highest spiritual science, so that love, wisdom, and power develop in their proper proportion to guide one's own destiny and the destiny of others. Lesson 6. It is excellent to have an ideal and live it. When you hold to your ideal, you grow into the ideal until it becomes manifest. But when ideals are limited or outgrown, they become a hindrance and prevent growth. Have an ideal, but know the processes that will enable you to reach the very highest of your ideals. The most necessary ideal is the ideal of a perfect substance and intelligence, the ideal of a perfect consciousness, the ideal of a perfect universe, the ideal of a perfect life. Keep this deep in your soul always, because it is your foundation. Then any other ideal that you may have will not be limited, nor a hindrance to you, but will be an ideal within an ideal, as it were, and supported by it. Before you can have activity in the physical plane, you must have activity in this superphysical plane. Before that activity becomes a material fact, it must first be a mental fact. Everything exists in the superphysical before it manifests itself in the physical. There are different theories on evolution, some of them purely material and incomplete, therefore we cannot rely on them. The highest teaching comes from the spiritual world. It is divinely interpreted and is not merely man's imagining perceived through his physical sense. God created everything. Of him all things were made. God held in his infinite mind a being, Lord of the earth, in which his consciousness manifested. This being ordained certain working qualities and limits to the three artificer principles. So the artificer principle of the mineral world was created, and under it and through it all mineral activity took place, but its work was limited to that sphere. So also was created a higher artificer principle through which all vegetation was created, and another still higher through which all animals were created, yet these also were limited. The substance in its essence was now conditioned through these artificer principles. This was prepared the plane in which the divine children would be born. These beings came forth from the Logos, having the consciousness of the infinite within them. Thus God breathed into man the breath of his life, and he becomes a living soul, not limited, but with divine consciousness and free will to choose. The mineral cannot raise itself up, but must be raised by the vegetable. Likewise, the vegetable must be raised by the animal, and the animal-conditioned substance is spiritualized by the divine inhabitants. Thus the substance returns to its original state of perfection, free of all conditions. Your work is threefold. You raise the conditioned substance, you gain your experience by doing so, and you gain your self-consciousness by the reaction to these experiences in the world of matter. This self-consciousness must be expansive, merging into the whole from which it arose. The personal becomes the impersonal. I and the Father becomes one consciously. You are born of the Father, Mother God, Spirit, incarnated in the physical garment, which has in it all the animal instincts and the power to propagate, to bring forth spirits in the same garb. You are created in God's own image. You are held in His consciousness, and it is the consciousness of God that is in you. You could not talk of the God power unless it were in you. The animal is not conscious of this God power because it is limited, but you are not limited. You are a spirit clothed in a body, and your work now is to obtain knowledge of the laws by reacting to them, and so gain experience and self-consciousness. When you violate the laws, you bring forth imperfection, but this gives you a knowledge and understanding of the opposite, perfection. You are conscious of yourself, self-conscious, because you are reacting to things external to yourself. They exist to you and are held as concepts in your mind, and this gives you a feeling of separation. Without a feeling of separation, you could have no knowledge of unity, and without knowing imperfection, you could have no knowledge of perfection. But the perfection of reality cannot be perceived by man's mind, for when you perceive something, you have perceived what it is. You cannot perceive the reality because it is beyond your perception. What we perceive in our imagination is not perception of reality, only an idea of it, but to know that it is self-satisfying and complete. It is, I am that I am. I and the Father are one. When you take in food, you raise it in vibration. It is spiritualized by contact with your spiritual power and passes into the atmosphere through your aura. It is the same substance that was taken from the ground, only you raised its vibration and dispersed it into the atmosphere. Just as you take the substance of this particular plane into yourself and raise it, so do those living in the invisible planes take this raised substance and raise it to a higher state. And as it is absorbed into the progressive planes, it is raised higher and higher until it passes back into the perfect substance from which it came. You will progress from the state of consciousness to a higher and higher state, until you eventually reach the highest vibration of substance, consciousness in God, where separation does not exist. From perfection you have come, and to perfection you will return. Keep the ideal in your mind always of the perfect consciousness, perfect intelligence, perfect substance, and perfect life. And although you may be in material condition at this present time, you will understand the process that will enable you to cooperate with God, working in His vineyard of human souls, pruning and guiding the branches, so that the eternal life in the vine shall bring forth the perfect fruit. For in Him we live, move, and have our being. Peace be with you. Lesson 7. The power to heal can only be obtained by learning to trace things from their source. Supremacy over disease is obtained by the degree of understanding that it does not come from God. God created all out of the one perfect substance, and we are the perfect consciousness of God within that perfect substance. Therefore, we have power to eliminate all that is imperfect. The substance out of which your body has been created is a perfect substance. Everything you see, all substance you are aware of, is only the same substance in a modified form, just another aspect of the same thing. So therefore everything has a perfect foundation, and perfection is your natural state. And because it is your natural state, it is the only reality. This is one of the main facts to remember in healing. All inharmony and imperfection must pass away, but harmony and perfection, which are the basis of everything, can never pass away because they are real and have their foundation in the perfect substance out of which all things are made. If you place yourself in a state of harmony by realizing your oneness with God, healing is the natural sequence. When you are in a state of inharmony, you deflect the harmonious vibrations, and the result, of course, you are aware of. These vibrations are received internally and are expressed externally through the outer garment. When the perfect image of God created is held in your consciousness, the form changes accordingly. The superphysical structure is always affected before the physical structure. The change begins within and moves outwardly. And when all inharmony and limitations are eliminated from the consciousness, the perfect manifests without effort and is your normal state. Your mind and brain interpenetrate one another and act together, and they have the quality of receiving and recording any object that the eye conveys to them. Are you going to accept everything you see as reality, or are you going to look upon it as something temporary, as a false concept that has no existence in reality? If you accept a thing as a reality, then it will be registered in your mind as such because you believe it to be so. But if you, while you see it, deny the fact that it is a reality, you immediately have the opportunity of realizing the perfect state, which is often the opposite of what you see. When you have received a picture and fixed it, as you do with a film, the picture is again projected. The vibrations of what you have fixed in your mind continue to express themselves outwardly. It may be a false concept, but you may have received and registered a false condition, which is reflected in your own outer structure, because you allowed it to manifest. But that is not to say that God created it. The perfect mind does not hold any imperfect things. It holds no imperfection whatsoever. Do you realize that? How could the perfect hold any imperfection? If the perfect realized any imperfection, it would be imperfect. Your mind and brain have the capacity of reproducing the vibrations received and projecting them out again, and you see the picture the eye has conveyed. You have received it. You are now expressing it through the inner vision. The picture is in your mind. You are reproducing the same picture through your mind and brain, and according to the intensity of the emotion attached to it, so does it manifest. If you hold off the unreal, the real reproduces itself by its own God-given power. The divine intelligence manifests the perfect image. It is so important in this life that you do not accept anything that you see as an actual reality. Although the outer body may be affected through inharmonious vibrations in the atomic structure, there is no definite or permanent effect upon the resurrection body. If you realize the divine, perfect image within strongly enough, you will manifest it on all planes. Most people are always visualizing the imperfect things and expressing them through their inner vision. What else can they expect but that their outer form be affected by these expressions and imaginings? Don't you know that matter is modified ether, and that ether responds and forms according to the image in your mind? Realize the truth, and the false will disappear. We must recognize the subtleness of the power within us. It brings forth what we often do not want, but always what we think deeply. Our safety lies in holding ourselves up to the divine light. The power of the Spirit harmonizes all the vibration and reproduces the perfect, so that we can project ourselves again. This time, through the inner vision, the perfect picture held by the divine consciousness. The camera receives and records on the film the vibrations of the objects that you photograph. You must fix the impression on the film to make it permanent. Movements and colors of objects we photograph are projected by first fixing them, projecting. It is the same with you in thought, word, and act. Each selective set of brain cells records, fixes, and projects the corresponding vibrations. Realize this mighty truth, that everything is in vibration, and according to the vibration you receive and fix, so will you project. We should constantly recognize this power we have of projecting that which we hold in our mind, a picture. Yes, and we can absolutely project that picture. The masters are able to hold a picture in their mind, and by the power of concentration they can actually reproduce it, so that all can see it visibly. We have this power within ourselves, if we could but realize it possible. Endeavor every day of your life to reproduce that which is already perfect within you. Refuse to see any imperfect condition. Refuse to receive any imperfect vibration. Every time these vibrations come to you, refuse to accept them. Then the real self will outpicture in your mind the picture of itself. It will not be long before you will control all inharmonious vibrations, transmuting them and reproducing that which is already perfect. This is the highest form of healing. You have the power to change the elements, to change the vibrations in matter. You have dominion over matter when you are able to unfold the perfect idea. Do you think you could do it? Persevere. By the power of your own consciousness, you create that which you hold before it. Every thought tends to outpicture itself. The subconsciousness will create the mold for whatever is held in your imagination, and the image you hold comes forth. People speak of the ills the flesh is heir to, but should rather speak of the ills fancy breeds. In treating by suggestion, it is wrong to make the patient repeat, "My sore foot," or whatever the trouble is getting better and better. Many people get worse. They get the reverse of what they desire because the image of the trouble predominates. When Emile Q found this out, he invented the formula, day by day in every respect I am getting better and better. His patients had to say it 20 times without thinking of anything else while in a relaxed condition. He found this method gave good results. The reason, of course, is that they did not hold the image on the condition, and by creating a word expression, day by day in every respect, I am getting better and better, it took their mind away from their trouble, lifted them out of the inharmonious vibration, and allowed nature to do her work unhindered. Nature always asserts herself when given the chance to do so. Qui was the father of suggestion and one of the most successful men of his time. All kinds of people from all over the world went to him. Qui arranged them in groups. He put new patients into old groups. He took the old patients first, placed them in a suggestible state, spoke to them, and then took the new ones afterwards. Most humans are influenced by suggestion, some more easily than others, and one will follow another. Disease of all kinds were cured by Qui. I am convinced, however, that he did not do it all by suggestion. Qui was a natural healer, and he had a mighty host of invisible beings who helped him in his work. These invisible workers worked upon their groups as they sat in this relaxed and receptive state. Although you see the outside working, you do not see the inside. Qui was an agent of the great invisible spiritual world like most of the other great healers. Nevertheless, suggestion has a wonderful power, and it is necessary that every person who is learning how to heal should thoroughly understand it. It is not the suggestion, but the auto-suggestion that acts. The spirit that is in the individual does the work. Your suggestion should be to affirm and suggest that which is perfect, to blot out the inharmonious vibration. By holding off the false condition, you allow that which is real to be made manifest. It is education that is required. Cures will follow. I have found that the majority of people who have taken my classes have been healed because they have received the necessary understanding. A change for consciousness takes place, and naturally cures follow, for it is the transformation of the ideas into action that counts, not only the accepting of it. I have found in my work that sometimes a patient will go into the suggestive state very easily and may accept what has been said to him, yet no results are obtained. The idea has not been transformed within itself. Why? Because in the subconsciousness there are strong opposing ideas that are preventing the idea you have given him being transformed into action. What is your cure for this? You have to educate him until such a time as to rearrange of the subconsciousness has taken place and the opposing forces are eliminated. How do you educate him? Along the lines of truth. This is the difference between those who use only analysis and suggestion and those who know the truth of reality as well. I have known many practicing suggestive therapeutics who could not understand how they failed to cure in some cases, while other similar cases were easily cured. Yet it is simple to those who understand the great divine law. Suggestion in itself is not always a cure, although it is a great aid and help to the cure. Many who practice hypnotism, mesmerism, and psychoanalysis think they are qualified because they have degrees. As a matter of fact, I have found that many who practice along these lines do not live a sufficiently spiritual life and have no understanding of the great spiritual laws. Therefore, they are not really qualified to do the work of healing because of the invisible influence they may create. Only those with a thorough understanding of spiritual, mental, and natural laws are capable of using this wonderful science. Lesson 8. While dealing with the subject of healing, we must include emotion as having strong positive and negative effects. Emotion is often the main cause of spontaneous suggestion. When we are in a state of emotion, the subconsciousness is wide open. Very often we are not aware of the ideas we place there with fear, anger, hate, or jealousy is in operation, but they have a definite invisible influence upon us afterward. What kind of emotion should we encourage? The emotion of love and the emotions that will bring about health and strength. This prevents the negative side of emotion arising. Love your God with all your strength, with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. The Master knew it when he said these words. They have a deeper significance than is seen on the surface. Emotion is often the main cause of spontaneous suggestion. The emotion of fear always surrounds the idea of trouble, disease, and accident. This emotion is a destructive reaction to a stimulus, and the ideas that then enter through your mind have a permanent invisible influence until you know the truth and manifest it. Hate, anger, and jealousy are sometimes even more destructive than fear. Do our opinions have a suggestive influence upon us? You often ask each other, "What is your opinion?" Opinions are often erroneous because of wrong suggestions. Many people read without using their reason, and they accept without question and base their opinions upon what they have accepted. That which they have accepted may have no foundation in truth. When you see, hear, or read anything, you should not let it into your mind until you have applied the law of truth to it. Then you know that your opinions are right. Opinions have an invisible influence. You may call it suggestion. You are being suggested every moment of your life through hearing, reading, seeing, speaking, etc. With regard to opinions, reflective consideration should be negative, a sort of a doorkeeper to ward off those which are ready-made and which may take root in your mind. Keeping judgment on the alert prevents collective emotions, crowd thoughts, natural passions, and revolutionary influences affecting the individual. Ready-made opinions are manufactured by dictators and politicians who are masters of the art, and the unthinking general public swallow these mental pills which take root in their mind. It is the fixing of the picture on the mind that counts, because it is then reflected outward and soon becomes fixed on the whole nation. Thus nations and sections are turned into gigantic lunatic asylums. It is spiritual knowledge that will save the world, and service and creative work are the only means to this end. Those who do not understand spiritual work are not capable of holding any public or important position in the life of the community. If this were the standing rule, and it should be, throughout the whole world in government and organizations, strife, war, poverty, sickness, and misery would soon disappear. Constructive suggestion is necessary in this life and should be practiced regularly to counteract any adverse suggestion. It has a definite invisible influence. It brings your soul into active cooperation, and the work is done without effort. Involuntary effort causes no fatigue, while voluntary effort does. This seems to point to the fact that involuntary effort is the work of the soul, which should be open to the divine light. Perhaps you do not like the particular task you are doing. This has a definite reaction upon you. Allow your soul to manifest in your work. Let every conscious act be tinged with an involuntary effort, so that the divine light will be made manifest through everything you do. The great secret of success and happiness is to work with a keen interest, endeavoring to do perfect work even under adverse conditions. Be happy in your doing is the motto. Let us now see the action ideas have upon us. An idea accepted by the mind causes certain cells in the brain to become active. Acceptance is the first process, and activity and transformation is the second. The mind controls the brain. The brain is the instrument through which physical contact is made, and through the cells of the brain a definite effect is created upon the corresponding parts of the body, thus causing action there according to the intensity of the active idea or thought in the mind. The mind substance interpenetrates the brain substance, and by the process of ideas, impulses are created in the cell structure of the brain by your mind, activated by the idea, and a certain amount of energy is released in a particular area of your body through the nervous system. Mind interpenetrates matter and controls it. The cell structure, matter, is mind in a negative phase, while the mental principle acting to the brain is of a positive phase, and changes the tissue structure of the former. It is the life that is the active principle, not the brain nor the nervous system, as they have no power of their own, being only instruments which should convey the life energy without interruption to every part of the body. In healing, your mind should be clear in regard to what is taking place. Hold the perfect ideal, because it is the beginning and the end. Nevertheless, you should see the process that takes place. If you can visualize the perfect foundation and see the process and method of change taking place, then your battle is more than half over. Knowledge is faith fortified. The superconscious and the subconscious are familiar with all the details of our physical and mental organism, and it is by this means that the realizing of the proposed end is attained. It is only through the proper understanding of universal science, which includes natural laws, mental science, and spiritual realities allied together in one harmonious whole, that the student gets a complete view of the structure of man and the universe from all aspects. God's laws are perfect laws. When you violate them, you suffer. You have not injured the law, you have injured yourself. It is my endeavor to make you mentally conscious of spiritual realities with a complete knowledge of physical, mental, and spiritual laws. Harmony is the foundation of your being, and perfect relaxation enables this harmonious condition to be made manifest. When in this state is the time to repeat your mantram. The saying that Qui invented was, day by day in every respect, I am getting better and better. Under strict analysis, this is not correct, because the I am and the me are different. The I am God is the inner self, which is perfect and cannot be made more perfect, but the me is the personal or the outer self, which is affected by our actions and thoughts. Therefore, I have altered the saying to, day by day in every way, God is making me better and better. This does not conflict with the truth. By this method we open ourselves to the inflow of the great life principle, the intelligence. We have benefited, cured our troubles. If we fear it or do not trust it, we shut the door and we suffer. We must let go of our adverse thoughts, or we prevent the divine principle from working through us, for it is the uninterrupted flow of life within which changes the tissue structure to a healthy condition and eliminates disease. The divine image held in the consciousness is outpictured by the intelligence in its substance. Now let us understand this thoroughly. Divine mind has three aspects. 1. Divine consciousness, the director. 2. Divine intelligence, fulfilling the direction of the consciousness. 3. Divine substance, in which the form takes place on all planes, spiritual, mental, and physical. With these three, consciousness, intelligence, and substance, all is made that is made in heaven and on earth. Therefore I and the Father are one. The substance of itself, having no power of its own, is molded into the form expressed. In the divine consciousness is the image or the blueprint held by the divine architect, and the intelligence proceeds to outpicture the form. Consciousness and intelligence coordinating together in the life energy that organizes the atoms, cells, and organs in the complete body. And when given the material, it keeps the body in repair according to the plan, doing it without effort on our part. The only effort we must make is to ward off adverse vibrations, thoughts, and emotions that interfere with the divine operation. In this higher knowledge, we do not repeat hundreds of mantrams that cloud our minds, as they generally bring up their opposites. For when we say, I am well, etc., there is something that also says, you are not well. It is far better to say, health, life, strength, love, wisdom, etc., without saying, I am this or that. And by thinking yourself into these characteristics, you become them without the opposite rising to deny the fact. In reality, of course, we are perfect, but most of us are lost in the world of form and illusion and have lost sight of the reality. We find our way back again much easier when we create no opposition. This was brought home to me very vividly when I visited a dying man. He was trying to hold on to this world by repeating mantrams, and what little strength he had was being used up with his futile effort. I asked him, what are you trying to do? He said, I want to live. I replied, well, stop saying those mantrams and breathe easily and deeply. Breath is life. And he started to breathe, he lost his fear, and he breathed himself back to life again. Had he kept on with his mantrams, he would have surely passed on to the next plane. I had another very vivid experience with mantrams when a lady well advanced in New Thought became very ill. She said, I have said everything I can remember. What more can I say? I am getting weaker and weaker. I said, be still and let God do the work. He brought you into this world and knows how to keep you here. If you want to remain here, ask him, then be content in faith and breathe deeply. Mantrams cannot save you, only life can, and life responds to faith in life. She also got out of her deathbed. In a few days she was perfectly well. There are many more similar cases, but space prohibits the details. These are not miracles, but the responses to the law of life. O life, glorious life, how I love you. This is the song to sing. Sing it joyfully, and you will be well. I am the life, the Father, and I are one. The action of life is a chemical reaction in substance which blends atoms of matter, molecules, and cells, and manifests itself in the form of a body. A continual animation of a numberless number of reactions is kept up. This is not life itself, but one of its actions. It is only when we unlock the mysteries and power which are stored up in the mental kingdom of God that we find the glorious principle of life itself. Yet although we may enter the light, we cannot touch the flame. We must remember that every mental state has a corresponding physical state. Change of mind means change of body. Sorrow causes tears. Fear causes the body to tremble. Elevate your mind to a state of hope by spiritual understanding. Hope leads to faith, and faith to expectancy. Christ said, "Whatsoever you desire when you pray, believe you have received it and you shall have it." This is faith objectified, for faith is continuous constructive thought. We will learn that heaven is in the mind, for thoughts make us miserable or happy. The kingdom of heaven is within. The divine flame is the all-embracing power, and faith brings this power into action. The Master said, "According to your faith, so be it unto you. Thy faith hath made thee whole." If there is no faith, there is less chance of a cure. When healing, have faith. Know that God's power within both yourself and the sufferer. Have confidence that healing will be accomplished. Strong belief has a powerful influence. Make the sufferer believe he will be cured, and he will be cured. Paul said, "Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." Mind is the only substance underlying all things. Things are thoughts objectified, and faith, which is constructive thought, is the means by which they are materialized. Faith is the evidence of things not seen. Faith will produce that which at the moment is not visible, not objectified. Suggestion proves that thoughts can be objectified on the body. Doctors, teachers, and parents should understand the power of suggestion, as sometimes an unkind or thoughtless word to a child will hamper its whole life, or a wrong suggestion may hinder the recovery of a patient. When one knows the law of autosuggestion, one can protect oneself, while those who do not know the law fall prey to the dangers around them. You ask, what is a thought? A thought is really an image projected from the mind into the surrounding ether. Your thoughts or images become clothed with a dense form of ether vapor attracted by the vibration set into motion. This ether vapor is condensed by the cell vibration and objectifies the mental picture. Thus a seeming reality is created. These thought forms vibrate in the interpenetrating etheric substance and become discernible in the physical plane. Science has proved that the photographic plate is sensitive to the vibration of a concentrated thought emitted from a strong active mind. A decided vapor effect is discernible when the plate is developed. These mental vibrations must have a similar action to light upon the photographic plate. Those acquainted with psychic photography will better understand this fact. Just as photographs can be projected through space by electric impulses in the ether television, so vibrations are conveyed by thought impulses. Electricity is a form of energy, transformed from the basic principle of energy, and the energy-transmitting thought is derived from the same basic principle. Therefore, an analogous action seems to be underlying both. The embryonic child, like the photographic plate, is sensitive to the vibration of the mother's mind. The thoughts of the mother are imprinted on the child. This proves that thoughts which are held persistently or are violently spontaneous become visible. As we progress towards the unbounded reality of existence, we recognize that nature's majestic handiwork is only the outward manifestation of something infinitely greater, something that overwhelms and transcends our finite conception. Yet within each one of us is the spiritual essence, a latent power with unlimited possibility made in God's own image. We have not yet unwrapped the material cloak that hides this perfect creation. Yet although we live in this world of form and shadows, we have our unfolding glimpses of reality, man in God's likeness. The creative will underlies all life's manifestation, including the mineral and vegetable kingdoms, and it acts independently of brains. It controls all life and body functions in animal and man. This mighty force is directed by our divine consciousness. The force called mental power is the principle of the creative will, directed by a faithful consciousness. Herein lies the secret and the mystery of mental power and the key to mental healing. This universal power can be used by man. Learn to understand and acquire its laws. Divine imagination, faith, and action are the keys. If you can grasp this mighty secret, you will be able to use your mind with a power and understanding never experienced before. Those who have passed into the higher state of consciousness are aware of and use this mighty power. You can cooperate with them in helping humanity. Know that the power of the universe is awaiting our intelligent use under the control of the will of the All God. When we feel the unity of this life, the soul awakens. The animal and the child instinctively feel this unity, but the advanced soul possesses the feeling of unity coupled with intelligent comprehension and unfolding spiritual power. He has found what he lost, plus the accumulated interest of the ages, with the understanding of the fatherhood of God and the brotherhood of man. As you progress along the path, be not hindered by words, action, thoughts, or deeds of others. Realize that the perfect is. I am that I am, and cannot be made more perfect. But the outer you should respond to the inner. Be ye perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. The I am within each is the Christ of God manifesting in humanity, and when this is fully realized by all, the fatherhood of God and the brotherhood of man will be established upon earth. Then and then only, when we have supreme happiness. This rests with man, not with God. God has already established this for man, and man has only to accept it by acting according to the law of God. These words and sayings will affect each and every one of you according to your enlightenment. The I am within is your teacher, and will present to your personal consciousness the message for the moment. Read again and again, and you will get further information. Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. How true these words are, and how few understand them. Keep on knocking by divine aspiration until you find your true consciousness, and the divine mother principle will transform the nature. The phenomenal world may become objectified to you, but still proceed. You are only part of the way. Not until you can embrace the whole with the nature transformed will you be released from the world of phenomena. Aspiration, inspiration, assimilation, expression, this is the natural course taken by those who tread the path. Detach yourself from every earthly desire, but live as he who lives for desire alone. In this way you will be led by the divine intelligence, and you will not be affected by the results of your actions. Apply these precepts in your daily life. 1. Right understanding, view or knowledge. 2. Right aspiration, motive or mental attitude. 3. Right speech or expression of one's thoughts. 4. Right action or conduct. 5. Right pursuits, including right means of livelihood. 6. Right mindfulness or effort. 7. Right concentration or control of mind. 8. Right ecstasy or spiritual contemplation and union with the ultimate reality. May the divine light pierce your personal consciousness, and may you trace the light to its source, and there you will find your true self, truly to be one with the Father of all. This is my earnest prayer for you. Peace be with you. Lesson 9. This final summary must be studied deeply for perfect understanding of the use of the higher power. It is essential to concentrate on spiritual truth if we are to grasp fundamentals. Otherwise we find ourselves floundering in dogma, creeds, and even in philosophy. Know that these, including philosophy, are only a means to an end and not the end itself. We can read anything we like, but we must guard against making it a crystallized foundation. The only true foundation is that we are. We do not have to be, we are. We do not have to be created, we are one with the Creator. The reality is not only within us, it is present everywhere and is perfect now. The truth must be established in you, but this cannot happen until you have eliminated all crystallized concepts from your mind. You look on matter and you say that it must be real because you can see, touch, and feel it. It is real to your senses, but that is all. It is not a reality in itself, nor has it any power of its own, nor does it claim any power of its own. You do not see, hear, or feel anything with your senses that has any more power of its own. All you see is the manifestation of phenomena. The cause is not seen, only the effect. And when you realize this truth, you will also realize that the power of recognition is within yourself, as well as the cause. Truth is, and does not have to be created. Substance is, and always has been. What you see is the manifestation of form and substance. Substance has no power of its own. Mind has no power of its own, nor does mind claim any power for itself, because it cannot. The perfect activity is expressed by consciousness and intelligence. Consciousness and intelligence existed long before you came into this plane at all. You did not create consciousness nor intelligence, but consciousness and intelligence created your body out of substance. The substance of itself is perfect in itself, but substance responds according to the thought emanating. This substance is called mind. It has no power of its own, but is given power by consciousness and intelligence. Consciousness and intelligence is your real self, unlimited and eternal. The intelligence is automatic and is co-partner with consciousness. This intelligence and consciousness, which are one, which are the positive and negative, father, mother, principle, create perfect action, and you are because the father and mother is. Your consciousness enables you to speak, breathe, walk, talk, etc., and the intelligence fulfills the act. The consciousness directs the motion, and the intelligence completes it. You see the manifestation of nature, you do not see nature herself. You do not see intelligence, but you see the action of intelligence, or the energy resulting from the action, which is the form and substance. The substance is and always will be perfect in itself, although the form might not be perfect. According to your faith, so be it unto you. Be ye perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. This really means that in the divine consciousness, the perfect image exists. If you have perfect faith, the perfect intelligence will express the perfect image in the perfect substance by its own perfect action. This is the true law of life as taught by Jesus himself. It is not the substance you have to change, nor the consciousness, nor the intelligence, but the form that you created in the substance. Do you understand? This is very deep but very simple. When you understand this, you will never again be lost in dogma, creed, nor philosophy. It does not matter one iota whether they are true or not true. The essential thing is this: God is, and I am, you are. Through faith and belief we transcend our experiences and the experience of others and enter into the realm of divine action where all is possible. Divine reason is better than sight, is better than hearing. The deaf, the dumb, and the blind have the power to think and reason, and their thoughts are often finer than many who see and hear, because they are not so much affected through the senses. Divine reason enables us to comprehend the truth which cannot be seen nor heard. Divine reason is intuitive and belongs to the highest realm of consciousness. It supersedes all the senses. Here is in the higher spiritual states. It is God's instrument for making us aware of himself in us. Spring blew trumpets of color. Her green ran in my brain. I saw a blind man groping, tap, tap with his cane. I pitied him as blindness, but can I boast I see? Perhaps there walks a spirit close by who pities me. A spirit who sees me tapping, the fine sense cane of my mind. Amidst such unseen glories, I may be worse than blind. The beauties beyond the physical senses are beyond comprehension. If you cannot see them nor hear them, you can picture them in your mind. Imaging, imagination, is the instrument of the soul. People have in their ignorance denounced imagination, but there is nothing finer than picturing the creative power in action, for imaging is responsible for the whole active universe being in existence, yet truth is beyond it. There is nothing greater than truth, nothing can destroy truth, no philosophy, dogma, nor creed can limit truth. Perhaps through dogma, philosophy, or creed you have reached this stage, but they were only stepping stones, or perhaps they were limitations because you thought them the final word. Perhaps you studied occultism and you thought this was the true law and you thought this was the only way to go. You perhaps have studied Eastern philosophy, yoga, etc. They have been stepping stones, but now we have the truth. The truth is infinity, and there is nothing greater. There is nothing but infinity. What man sees as evil is in his mind or in the mind of others. There is only one substance, one consciousness, one intelligence, and that is all there is. All forms are created out of this three in one, and are expressions, all united, all in one and one in all. Therefore, who are you? Who am I? I am that I am. I am the consciousness, the intelligence, the substance. I am that I am. I cannot be anything else. It is impossible for me to be more or less if I try to be. I am imagining, creating concepts in my mind, what I believe seems true to me, but it may be false. The infinite being is all there is present everywhere, is all power there is, all intelligence there is, all substance there is. Then I and the Father must be one, are one. It is a self-evident truth. It speaks for itself, and no one can deny it, but science is not sure. Dogmatists quarrel over their beliefs. Many have murdered each other because of them, and yet they do not know whether they are true or not. Why? Because it is with phenomena that they are dealing with, not reality. But with truth you do not have to wonder, you know, because you are the truth. The divine reason proves it to you. Although you do not know what it is, you know it is. By eliminating then from our mind the concept that binds us, we are freed. Limited concepts are created by science, dogmas, and creeds, etc., because they deal with phenomena, forms, and expressions, and not with the real. We must see beyond form into reality. We must be free of fixed ideas and concepts to receive that which is truth. You cannot fill the vessel until you have emptied it. Therefore you have to empty your mind before you can fill it full with truth. You do not have to worry about getting there by this route or that route. You are already there, but do not know it. No longer will you have to believe that which is false to receive the truth. You are filled with the truth when you know it. No one can create the truth. It is. Only false concepts we create. The truth is beyond our imagination. Therefore, what we have in our imagination is an idea, a sensation. The truth is none of these. It is. You are the truth. I am the truth, the Master said. You can only understand life when you realize that God is, that you are the sons and daughters of God, that you are born of the Spirit. There is only one intelligence, which is the perfect activity and is the mother, and one consciousness, which is the will and is the Father, and the expression is a child. Father, mother, and child, therefore consciousness, intelligence, and form and substance are three in one. Intelligence can become active anywhere where consciousness is. Consciousness may be in what is called its unconscious state, as we see in the plant and in the mineral, yet consciousness is directing the intelligent action. In man the consciousness is conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. The intelligence is automatic in response to all phases of consciousness. We know that we know, but because of our reaction to stimuli received through the senses and our lack of understanding, we flounder in phenomena. A fish swimming in water does not know it is in water. It just swims around. And that is what a lot of people are doing, just swimming around. But when we grasp the truth, we know there is one perfect substance, invisible to the physical eye, but nevertheless the only substance and the basis of form and phenomena. The matter we see is nothing more than a modified form of that invisible substance, real in the world of manifestation, but not a permanent reality. If you were out of your present state of vibration, this physical matter would not hinder you. You would not even know it was there unless you reduced your consciousness to its rate of vibration. You can reduce or raise your consciousness simply by a true natural desire to do so, with understanding and faith, and the law responds. Just as you raise your consciousness beyond the physical senses, so you lower it in the same way. You can raise or reduce your consciousness as you desire, and you become one with the plane of consciousness. But in the process of finding out these things, you begin to see that our physical senses are but a modification of our spiritual senses. We supersede and transcend our physical consciousness as our consciousness expands and rises near to its true source. Even the spiritual world of form is but phenomena in a higher degree. The same law exists eternally. You become the law when you conform to the law. People who condemn anything they cannot understand profess their gross ignorance. Some think they know everything and that there is nothing more to know. You may be sure they know nothing. Know the truth, and it shall set your mind free to expand. There is so much to unfold that time fades into insignificance. God is all there is and is perfect. God cannot divide himself. There is nothing to divide him with. There is nothing greater than God, nor more powerful, because he is omnipotent, all-powerful, omnipotent, all-power. He is alone omniscient, all-knowing, omniscient, all-knowledge. He is not only omnipresent, present everywhere, but omnipresence, all there is present anywhere at any time. If all power and all intelligence are everywhere, then God is everywhere. So where is God not? Can you get beside it? Can you get beyond it? What most people need is divine reasoning. While they seek here, there, and everywhere, all the time it is within, nearer than hands or feet, nearer than the nearest. It is thy true self. Everything must be expressed from the individual self. These words of mine have only the power of bringing forth what you already know, but were not conscious of. Life cannot be destroyed. Nothing can destroy life because there is nothing powerful enough to destroy it. If a beetle crossed the floor and I stepped on it, I have destroyed the mechanism, but not the intelligence that animated it. The life or intelligence is not affected. When we come to the realization that matter is porous and not solid, that this material substance that we see and feel is actually porous and has no solidity, that the perfect substance supports it and holds it, and is the framework in and which it is built, that material substance is but an expression in the perfect substance and of it, being the perfect substance modified, then we will better understand that life is the organizer of form and substance, organizing the form according to the image held by the consciousness. Mind of itself has no power. Therefore, mind has no power over you, although you create images in your mind and then fear them. It is like fearing your own shadow. Neither has matter any power of its own. It is but mind modified. When you understand this, you'll get behind form to that which is. You then become one with the Creator, not creating in perfection, but manifesting that which is already perfect within you. The impersonal becomes the personal, and we see the spiritual world before us. The I am of the ego disappears, and the I am that I am appears. When you say knowingly, I am that I am, all things will respond. The elements will obey you. Anything will be possible to you. The world will be negative to you, and you will be positive to everything in it. The Master said, all power has been given unto me in heaven and on earth. It is said that we know the perfect by the imperfect, but the perfect cannot be known by man's mind. It is only an idea of the perfect. The perfect is, although we cannot perceive it, for it is beyond our perception, beyond comparison, yet it is, and manifests when we realize the truth. So wonderful is truth that the human brain cannot fully comprehend it. Yet truth does not go contrary to our reason, but goes beyond our reason, beyond our comprehension, into a realm which has not yet been explored. So do not limit yourself by your reason. Do not limit yourself by your lack of comprehension. To become conscious of the unfathomable is the essential thing in our lives, no matter which way we do it, whether through exercise, through meditation, or through divine reasoning. They are only a means to an end, or through philosophies, dogma, or creed, which have their limitations. These also are but stepping stones which lead to something beyond. I do not deny you any religion, dogma, or creed, nor do I deny you any philosophy or series of exercise. I do not deny you anything, but do not flounder in them. Do not flounder in the power you get from psychic exercises or experiences. If you seek health for health alone, if you seek material gain, and that alone, if you seek any one thing for that thing alone, it shall elude you. But seek the truth, and you will find everything. When you have perfect faith and belief in God and yourself, then you receive fully. You become one with the divine love, wisdom, and power. It is the most wonderful and most glorious of all teaching. It is the unwritten word of the Masters. You may have practiced exercises, studied philosophies, etc., and no doubt you have gained by them. But when you say, I am that I am all there is, my Father and I are one, you will find that the divine intelligence will lead you. It always has and always will. Do not seek for yourself alone, but that others shall also find the way, for he who seeks for himself alone is selfish and limited. He who seeks to save his soul alone may find the path but will not reach the goal. But he who works in love may wander far, yet God will bring him where the blessed are. You can now understand the Master's words, if ye believe in me, ye shall have eternal life. Through the Christ principle, through the Christ in you, is the door into infinite eternal love. Let love then be the dominant factor in your life. A love beyond the love of the physical, a love beyond that of your family circle, a love beyond the nationalism which seems to be dominant in some nations, a love so deep that nothing can sever it, because there is nothing that can sever it. It is divine love. Therefore it is perfect, and when we receive it and accept it, it is ours, and we become love itself. This is the ever-new joy that repeats itself with every beat of the heart. When everyone accepts this all-embracing love, all our apparent troubles which are experiences in this physical world shall be completely annihilated, for we shall no longer need them. We will have found it. That which is perfect hath come, and hath superseded all that is imperfect. Man does not yet fully understand divine love. He has not quite grasped it. Make this our aim, that all shall know the truth, and that all shall love as he who loved so deeply, that at the last moment of his crucifixion he said, Forgive them, for they know not what they do. Could you say that? Think. The mother has a love for her child so deep in her heart that she will give her own life that her child may be saved. It is only in the human that we find this characteristic, but also in all animals. The greatest manifestation of love is love for love itself, and this is expressed through the mother principle. Let the mother, which is perfect, rise in us. Arise in us now divine emotion of love, the only true emotion. All negative emotions are false and destroy our health and happiness. Let the perfectness of the image held in the infinite consciousness, the perfect intelligence, the perfect activity, the perfect emotion, be our conscious reality, for it is our divine birthright. By understanding we transcend philosophies, dogmas, and creed, and instead of traveling over the winding stairway, we just enter in and there we are. If we have not reached the truth of the perfect image and experience, we must have faith and believe. Seek and ye shall find, ask and ye shall receive, knock and it shall be opened unto you. The desire will eventually be fulfilled, and with it all your needs, for the Lord knoweth what you need of before you ask. That which is in the infinite mind is perfect and shall reveal itself, and it shall be revealed in you. Just as I bring this to you, it was brought to me. It was unfolded so beautifully to me in the solitude of the great Himalayas. Why seek me here? Why seek me there, when I am everywhere? Therefore I say, have peace in your mind, peace in your soul. Let that peace that passes all understanding abide with you, knowing the great truth that you are. You do not have to be, you are. Because God is, and there is only God and nothing else, and God is perfect. All other things are nothing at all. They are only manifestations of phenomena and have no reality. This is a secret within in the ancient scrolls. All is, which is that which is, and that which is perfect. The great prophets and masters of the past received the truth from the higher spiritual source and handed it down through the ages. Jesus revealed it in his private talks with his disciples. You do not have his every word in print, nor is the truth held between the covers of any book. The words of Jesus are as fresh this moment as when he uttered them, and he who has ears may hear, and he who has eyes may see. But blessed is he who has not yet heard nor seen, yet believeth with strong faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen. The truth is, you are. I and you and me, and we and them. All is God, all in one, only a different expression of the same thing, form and the same substance, created by the same consciousness and intelligence. I and the Father are one. Nothing else matters now. Nothing else should matter for you when you get this firmly rooted in your mind. All your troubles pass away, even your health problems, your financial problems, your home problems. All that worries you completely dissolve into nothingness, where it belongs. Lesson 10. Cultivate inspiration in this life. It is of the utmost importance. It is the master key and opens all doors. It is the pathway of all true knowledge. All great men and women use it. It is used by the scientist, the philosopher, the inventor, the mystic, the healer, the teacher, the organizer, the preacher. Christ himself used it to its full degree. It is the gateway to the unexplored regions of the universe beyond the experience of mankind. It is the avenue through which that which is not yet known to man will come. Try to find inspiration in everything you do. There are several forms of inspiration. We will examine them briefly. You can be inspired by persons on the physical plane, by their courage, action, and words, and you can receive their inspired thoughts. Then there is the inspiration from those who have passed from the physical plane and who attach themselves to an individual, a suitable subject through whom they can give their message while the two minds work in harmony. In some cases, the physical instrument only is controlled, the brain being used instead of the mind of the subject. This is not inspiration in the true sense of the word, but a form of control. There is a form of inspiration where the person's mind is elevated to the spiritual thought world, and many thoughts not yet made conscious on the physical plane find a channel through which they can be expressed. There is what we call group inspiration, where a group of Holy Spirits or Masters meet together for disseminating the higher truth of the spiritual world for the elevation of man. Sometimes the combined spiritual group is expressed through the individual. Sometimes an intermediate is used in the spiritual realm through whom the inspiration is converted or modified, and this is known as spiritual telepathic communication. There is also the inspiration from the higher beings in the sun and beyond the sun, which enters the soul with the cosmic ray. But the complete and perfect inspiration comes from the infinite spirit itself within man. This is the highest form and the most sought after by all adepts and masters. It is the Christ. I and the Father are one. These particular forms of inspiration are, as it were, stages or steps, until such a time as you as an individual pass beyond the capacity of those who are inspiring you, until such time as you get beyond the capacity of all individualized intelligence into the infinite expression that comes from oneself into oneself. The Spirit is in everyone. Each individual is the expression of the same Spirit. We are not only united in the physical plane, we are united in the mental and spiritual planes as well. In all realms of the universe we have our affinity, and our roots are eternally held in the Almighty God, Om. The greatest of all inspiration comes direct from God. When you desire inspiration, desire the highest. When you desire the highest, no matter through which channel it comes or what particular form or individual used, there is an eternal unity at the root. No matter what method you use, ask direct from God the Father, and you will find inspiration, the source being eternal and ever-present. There is no limitation this way, but there is when you ask through a particular source. For instance, when you say, Tom Jones is my guide and no one else inspires me, you are limiting your inspiration, and it is not worth a great deal. Many today are floundering in spiritualism, with the results that this great religious movement is limited by its own adherents. But when you ask for the highest inspiration, you get it, and the channel you get it through will be the right channel. Never ask for anything from anyone but God, for He is the only one who can supply you. If I ask you or anyone else, I cannot be sure, just as you cannot be sure if you depend upon other people for your needs. You must not put your dependence upon any individual, no matter who he or she may be, not even the highest in your land, for they have no power unless God gives it to them. But if you ask in the right way, knowing who is the owner of all things, then by asking and believing you will have it, knowing that now it is being manifested. This law is as accurate as the law of mathematics and as easy to use. The key is in this lesson. If ye believe ye have received, so shall ye have. I am not denying the fact that there are helpers. I know there are, and many are known to those being helped. But I want to show you the law. Even the helpers are subject to it on all planes. Do not then repeat the asking. It is like saying, Father, you haven't given me what I asked for. Why don't you give me the things I want? You asked for them once, and because you ask again, you renew the process, and there is nothing done. This is not the way. If you knew you already had them, you would not ask for them again, would you? Learn this law. It is important. If doubt enters you, cancel the order automatically, or at least delay the manifestation. When you know the law, you constantly give thanks for what is being done. Believe then that you have it, and you shall have it. When you create in your mind an image of any particular thing that you desire, you have the image of yourself having. You also have the image of yourself not having, the image of yourself lacking, and the image of yourself possessing. The two images are opposing each other. The image that is dominant is the image that is manifested. That which is the deepest is dominant. You do not get what you want, but what you think deeply. Believing is receiving. The intelligence and substance seeks to fulfill the image held by the consciousness. I want to show you the process of your mind that you may see the movement in it so clearly that you will fulfill the law and receive from your Father all your need and more. By the process of fulfilling this perfect law, the law is fulfilled, because the law fulfills itself. The trouble with most people is that they do not know the fundamental principle accurately enough to use them intelligently and wisely. Now let us examine this law of manifestation. On one side is the image of yourself in possession. Opposing that is the image of yourself not possessing, having and not having. These two images oppose each other. What is the result? Which is the more dominant? Which one is the deeper? When you know the truth that there is only fulfillment, then you have what you want. But if you do not know the truth and the opposing images of yourself lacking becomes dominant, then you do not have it because you must fulfill the law. If the image is a vacillating one, now I have it, now I don't have it, and so on, then it is only by sheer luck, if luck exists anywhere, I doubt it, that you have anything at all, because you have violated the law of receiving. There is also the law of giving, and one must be as ready to give as to receive. Then the law is complete. Detachment is the secret here. To be truly unselfish, one must, by a mental process, detach oneself from all things external. This is accomplished by spiritual understanding and discipline. Then there is no anxiety or fear attached to the opposing image or non-possession. We have another image to consider, health, opposing it is sickness. Which is dominant, health or sickness? Which is the deeper in the mind? While it is generally sickness, it is a wonder you ever get well at all. You should know that health is your foundation and your natural state. Have faith, and with health dominant in your mind, you will have health. That is how some miracles take place. The person is so elevated for the moment that all inharmony disappears and health is established. Failure opposes success in most people's minds. According to the power of the particular image, so shall it dominate your life. Are you trying to make your success depend upon aid from other individuals? If you do, then you will probably fail. Many people are waiting for the other fellow to carry their load, waiting for the other person to give them a lift, but they find that instead of getting the lift, they get the opposite, and this is generally what they deserve when they look to others for their success. Through God and God alone, you should seek your health, your success, your happiness. Then it will be true health, success, and happiness. You must follow the divine idea, no matter where they take you, no matter what you do or how you do it. It is part and parcel of a plan that is guided by divine intelligence, which knows and sees further than you do, which leads you to the fulfillment of your needs, sometimes through ways you do not want to go. This is why many people fail. They turn back at the first obstacle. So we see two opposing thoughts or images in our minds, the negative and the positive. But do not be alarmed if you find the negative often rising to the surface. Make it the foundation upon which you build the positive. Say, I know that intelligence is perfect, that God is perfect, and that there is no other power. There is no other power but mine, and I can prevent any unwise thought from manifesting in my life. Everything good shall manifest in my life. All my needs are fulfilled, for I and the Father are one. If you have violated the natural laws, admit the fact, and once you admit the fact, and accept the admittance of the fact, and act with the law, you begin to get well and your needs are fulfilled. Be content with your troubles or conditions in the meantime, knowing perfectly well that they are going to disappear, and as surely as the sun rises in the morning they will. According to your faith, so be it unto you. The intelligence will guide you and show you what to do and where to go, and you will find God there waiting for you. In the physical garb, if necessary, the divine intelligence arranges all. You will find this is an exact truth. The most extraordinary thing is that, although it is actually true, yet most people disbelieve it. These laws we must understand and follow. As long as we are ignorant of them or refuse to accept them, we will suffer. As long as we are ignorant of the truth, we are not free. We are free when we know the truth. The truth shall set you free. There is only the manifester and the manifestation. That which is dominant is produced. Believe in the good, for it is the only permanent reality. We should have a knowledge and understanding of the real, then the unreal cannot dominate us in any way whatsoever. When we hold a false concept in our mind and believe it to be true, then the false appears to us as true. The image is created in our mind, the concept is crystallized, and it is the blueprint, and the structure is then built externally. But it is not a truth. We created it, and the only power it has is the power we give it. People who imagine themselves well-educated are generally ignorant of true facts. I have found gross ignorance where profound intellectual nonsense was in evidence. Many are floundering in phenomena and do not know the truth, not even about themselves. Man is the greatest, the most interesting, and the most necessary study in the world. Once we begin to understand ourselves, our burdens and fears disappear. Our gross desires no longer crave for expression. My final advice to you is to eat God's divine ideas of fruits and vegetables as near their natural state as possible. Keep your imagination clear and clean, positively filled with divine thoughts. Let the emotion of love dominate all your thoughts and actions. Unify these three planes. 1. Divine eating and divine drinking. 2. Divine thinking, and 3. Divine feeling. Then harmony will reign supreme. Your prayer should now be in the affirmative, claiming what you say to be true, a fact, an actual reality. This prayer fulfills your every need. Verse: Loving Father, this is thy holy temple, thy perfect dwelling place, from which radiates thy love, wisdom, and power to all thy children. I am filled with thy mighty healing power, thy inspired wisdom and divine love, and I am glorified in thee. My eyes and ears are open whereby I see and hear, and my mind receives thy eternal truth, for thou hast proclaimed me thy perfect instrument for thy great and glorious work, that thy will, which is done in heaven, shall also be done on earth. Amen. May the divine blessing of truth abide in you now and forevermore. I and the Father are one life, one God, one people, one family, living in love and peace. Live in the realization and recognition of your oneness with me, and as ye know me, as I am, so shall ye be. Meditate upon this daily till the burning sun of the eternal reality burst forth in your soul to consume you in the allness of its immortal love, wisdom, and peace. Love and peace be with you. Murdo MacDonald Bayne. End of lesson. End of book. This audio presentation of The Higher Power You Can Use by Murdo MacDonald Bayne has been brought to you by audioenlightenment.com. Copyright 2015. All rights reserved.